Good morning to you and welcome to our time together on Monday the 27th of July to consider one with another the things of God and the great truths of our faith. As I look out of the study window today, I can see that it's not a very nice morning. It's pretty grim. The weather is, to be frank, awful for July. But that being said, we ought to be grateful that we're not in the US state of Texas right now. I don't know if you watched this on the news, but over the weekend, the Texan Gulf Coast was bombarded by Hurricane Hannah. Yep, on Saturday evening, Hurricane Hannah made landfall with winds of 90 miles an hour. And one city which felt the full force of Hannah's anger was the town of Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi was beaten and damaged as Hannah poured out her wrath and displayed her power. Now, perhaps some of you who know a bit of Latin might have an inkling where I'm going with this today. You see, the name of the Texan city, Corpus Christi, is Latin for body of Christ. Corpus Christi means body of Christ. And when I saw the news reports of Corpus Christi being violently beaten by the weather, my mind was drawn to the very real flesh and blood body of Christ and the violent beatings that he suffered in the hours prior to the crucifixion. John chapter 18 informs us that Jesus was struck in the head whilst he stood before the high priest. Verse 21, one of the officers struck Jesus, saying, "Is that the way you answer the high priest?" The physical abuse of Jesus continued. Mark 14 records how some began to spit at him and to blindfold him and to beat him with their fists and to say to him, "Prophesy." And the officers received him with slaps in the face. Now when Jesus is passed over to Pilate, he orders him beaten. Listen to John chapter 19. Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. Folks, Pilate scourged Jesus violently, seeking to pacify a crowd that wanted him dead. That movie, The Passion of the Christ, captured the brutality of the whipping. I guess you've seen that. So Jesus was likely beaten to within an inch of his life. And it didn't end there. Following the scourging, the soldiers continued to torment Jesus physically. They pushed a crown of thorns into his head and they eventually beat him with a reed. Matthew 27 tells us after weaving a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand, and they kneeled down before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spat on him and took the reed and began to beat him on the head. Folks, the body of Jesus, Corpus Christi, experienced a severe beating. But here's the thing that we need to remember today. He did so for you. Now on Saturday I watched the mayor of Corpus Christi urging folks to flee the town, to get as far away from Corpus Christi as they could to escape the punishing storm. But the Bible story is the exact opposite. God invites us all to run to Corpus Christi, to embrace that body that was beaten for us, so that the storm of God's wrath on sin, our sin, will be borne by another and not laid upon the deserving perpetrators, that is to say us. So friends, I have a wee question for you today. Are you in Corpus Christi this morning? Do you have a place in the body of Christ? Are you with the one who was pierced for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquities? The song "There is a Green Hill Far Away" is one that I recall singing in school assemblies many years ago. And there's this one verse that I'd like to ask you to ponder today. It says, "We may not know, we cannot tell what pains he had to bear, but we believe it was for us he hung and suffered there." I pray that you are found in Corpus Christi today, friends, that it was for you that the body of Christ bore pain and suffered a devastating beating, even unto death.